also want to apologize for my tone being louder than it needed to be.
Yeah, and I accept your
The speaking
apology.
tone. You know, I want to be able to trust you. I want to be able to come to you
Yeah.
and be able to speak to you about my situation. You tell me about yours and
This episode was, yeah, some of it wasn't necessary, but at the same time, I think it was needed because of the fact that Shaq, the way he sort of humbled himself to sit down and have that conversation with Whitney, needs to be studied. Do I think it was genuine? Yes, I do. I will explain later. And then the fact that he thought he was playing Helena by ending things with her because he thought he had secured Belle, only for Belle to play in his face. Oh my God. Oh my God, I can't wait for that. And then you have the likes of Jack thinking that he is the man suddenly because he has Whitney sort of saying yes to him, only for him to be played by Lucinda. Lucinda is a master at this game. She's done so many shows, so she is a master and she's always going to know how to look out for herself. The fact that she picked Kieran is no surprise to me. It's no surprise. She's always been able to go in and pick the guy that stands out, the guy that she knows that people are going to like. And although some of the other girls were upset with her, you could see that Millie wasn't surprised. From their history, she really wasn't surprised by Lucinda's actions. Anyway, hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island All Stars Season 3 Episode 10. So you have Curtis having a conversation with Helena. Helena, sadly, for me, I think the way she comes across, the way she's so laid back is the reason why guys take advantage of her and no other reason. I think they take advantage of her because they think she's a good time girl. Yes, she had a chat with Curtis, but I don't think he was attracted to her. I think he enjoyed talking to her, but I don't think there was any sort of attraction there because they were talking about Helena's connection with Shaq and the fact that she's now in another love triangle with Belle. And it's like, Helena, you need to set boundaries with the guys you're sort of exploring connections with. And this is why they play in your face. You had, Sean have a conversation with Lucinda. What do I think? I think Lucinda is always going to look out for Lucinda. This is the truth. Lucinda is always going to look out for Lucinda. Do I think she's attracted to Sean? No, he's not even like any of the guys that she's coupled up with on the other shows that she's been on. So I don't think she likes him romantically. I think she might humor him if she thinks that will keep her safe in the villa. Otherwise, there's no romantic connection there. You had Shaq finally sit down for a conversation with Whitney. This is what I think. Shaq had an epiphany. Whoever sat him down and had an honest conversation, be it production or whatever, they must have really either showed him the footage of how he behaved or someone might have clearly explained to him how it came across, and then he had this epiphany to sit down. Because the fact that he was sitting that close to her is shocking for me. I would have expected him to sit across from her and have a chat with her, but because you're sitting side to side to her, and she apologized to say, I cannot apologize for the Belle situation because I was going by the facts that I knew, but I will apologize for the misunderstanding with the AJ situation, which I think everybody sort of gets, that you can't like something about someone and then turn around and say it's an egg. So that definitely I agree with her. For him to apologize for the tone of his voice, somebody must have told him that it came across it wasn't a good look and it's going to make the viewers turn on him. And I think this is why he's apologized. Do I think he's genuinely apologetic? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I think whether he waited until he had calmed down or whether somebody came and sat him down and spoke to him and told him how bad it was, this is why he must have had this epiphany to apologize. I'm happy they've both apologized. They want to be friends again. Do I see it there? I don't know. I can't say yes, I can't say no, so I just hope for the best for them. You then had Shaq pull Belle for a chat. And, he was saying, Helena's upset by the fact that he is still trying to explore a connection, but he is looking out for himself. So he has to do what's in his best interest. I feel like, sadly for him, whatever happened during the first couple of days, because he and Belle had the most amazing chats, and I was pleasantly surprised when he pivoted and he went to Helena and she pivoted and went to Sean, and I didn't quite get what happened there, whether it was something that happened in bed with Belle and Sean that turned out to Sean. I still don't get it, because at the end of the day, I think when it comes to chats, she's always had the most amazing chats with Shaq. There's always been that sort of understanding. They share the same values and morals. Yes, he might behave in a way that she doesn't like. Maybe she was put off by the way he behaved towards Whitney. Something about it I still don't get. Whitney sat down for a conversation with Connor. Connor, for me, sadly, I think he lost Whitney. I don't know whether there's no attraction there or what it is about him that sort of Whitney is not latching onto, because she has this connection with Jack, and I think Whitney is one person whereby if she becomes emotionally invested in someone, that's it. So the idea that she's still pining or thinking about Jack, I don't get. I wish she had paid more attention to Connor. Connor was saying, I think I'm happy that the love triangle is over and done with. It's just you and me. And she said, no, that's not it. You can't say the love triangle is over and done with just because we've broken up. I don't know how I feel about him. I'm still processing those feelings, so I need time. And so he tried to kiss her, and it didn't work out for him, because she sort of swerved him. And it's like, I think you're doing a bit too much. The fact that you're sitting at the fire pit in front of everyone and then you go in for a kiss, that's a bit too much. That's too soon. You need to give her time to sort of process what she is feeling, and then she can decide what she wants to do next. Shaq, after his conversation with Belle, decided to call Helena for a chat. So before he called her, he spoke to Scott and he spoke to Kieran. I think they're the ones that sort of got his head back screwed on. Because after his confrontation with Scott with the whole Whitney situation, I'm surprised he was listening to Scott's advice. I agree with the guys that Belle is a better connection for him than Helena. Helena, sadly, she shouldn't have come back this season. I think she should have waited at least 1-2 seasons before coming back. At least some people would have got amnesia and forgotten about how she behaved in a season. So when it's a long-term relationship, I agree with the guys that Belle is more it than Helena. So he decided to pull Helena for a chat, and just said to her, I want to focus on my connection with Belle. So I want to, call it quits with us. And it's like, we all knew this was coming. We all knew that Shaq settled with Helena because he had no other choice. This was his only choice. This is why he settled with her. But had he had his own pick of the litter, he wouldn't have, settled with her. He asked her about cuddling in bed, and she said no. And it's like, buddy, how can you say that? You're telling someone that long-term you don't see it with them, and yet you're still asking for a cuddle. This doesn't make sense. It's like Belle asking Sean for kisses, but not being into him full-term. So I was just side-eyeing that. I really was side-eyeing it, and I'm happy that it's over and done with. Helena then went into the bedroom with Sam. She was crying. She was saying he called it off. I don't understand why boys, say I'm a good time girl. They just want me for a good time, and that's it. And it's like, maybe there's something you are doing that is giving the guys that impression. You need to set boundaries. You need to sort of put yourself first. And if these people cannot do that, then you need to keep it stepping. The girl's trying to console her. Okay, I get it. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be the situation whereby she is going to continue to struggle to find someone who really likes her for her if she doesn't set boundaries, if she doesn't choose the right person for herself. You had Sean have a conversation with Belle, and he was saying, I still fancy you. I know I was very silly and I shouldn't have done what I did, so I want to apologize. Can we start afresh? He was more or less asking for a new beginning. I think because he's realized that he can never pull Lucinda, so that's a door shut in his face. He's realized that Helena is not it. She's a good time girl, but she's not it for a long-term relationship, and this is why he's trying to grovel his way back to Belle. I don't know why Belle was that easy going with him. She was saying I'm ovulating, so maybe that's why I have a soft spot for him. No, he's not it. Sean is not it. He's too immature for you. And that idea that you're even giving him a chance doesn't make sense to me. So they agreed to give each other a chance and see how they go. Whitney and Jess sat down for a chat. That chat for me was more about Jess than it said about Whitney, because Jess was saying, because you're very opinionated, this is why I don't speak up, because at times, when something is happening to me while I'm still trying to process, you've already got the resolution to it. No, you're not a good friend. You are upset at the idea that people are seeing you as a bad friend, so you want to rehab your character. I have a feeling production sat down after complaints, whether they were Ofcom complaints from the viewers, whether it was the commotion on social media. Production must have sat down with these people and told them that the way you went after Whitney, the fans are not happy. So just be mindful of how you speak to one another. I don't think Jess's apology was genuine, and I'm pleasantly surprised that Whitney accepted that washed down apology. The islanders then got ready for the night. The girls were asking each other, they were asking Lucinda, who do you like? And she said, I like Jack. I think he's a great guy. I think he would be good for me. I think she was just trying to be vague to see where people stood. Whitney didn't answer anything. She didn't say anything to that. Curtis was being asked about the girls. He said he likes Millie. He thinks she's a great girl. And then when they got into bed, you had this sort of back and forth between Whitney and Jack. And Jack was asked, how do you feel about me? And he said, you're crazy, but you're a good crazy. And I'm happy that Whitney said that. When did that we turn around and come to that? He only had that epiphany because none of the other girls wants him. And he knows in order to stay in the villa, he needs to be in a couple. So he's trying to make amends and sort of make up with Whitney. I'm not buying it. And sadly, I hope Whitney doesn't buy it, but I have a feeling she's going to go back if he comes and he grovels. And I don't want her to do that. Everybody else got into bed and settled down for the night. And you could see some were happy making out. Everybody else just went to sleep. In the morning, you had a debrief between Curtis and Lucinda. And Lucinda was sort of saying, she still hasn't got to know Kieran. She would like to have a chat with Kieran. But the other guys, she thinks they're good. She thinks they're amazing guys. She thinks she could give Jack a chance. And it's like she's not giving Jack a chance. She's giving boys on fans a chance. If she thinks that that's going to give her a lot of mileage, then she's going to do that. Otherwise, that's it. You had the guys have a debrief between, there was Shaq, Sean. I think Connor came and joined, and Tommy was there as well. And Shaq was just sort of inquiring about the Belle situation with Sean. And Sean was saying, I want to have a chat with Belle. We did have a chat, and we said we're open to seeing where things go. So he wanted to have another chat to see if there's anything there for the two of them. And it's like, Sean has no other choice. All the other girls have turned him off. So if Belle is going to give him an opportunity, he's going to take it and run with it. If Shaq is surprised by that, then that's on Shaq. It's not on Sean. Because at the end of the day, Sean is going to do what Sean feels is in his best interest. Shaq then went on the terrace with Belle, and they were just having a chat. And so, he told her he ended things with Helena, and he wants to. And she was saying, I haven't shut things down with Sean just because I don't want us to keep going. And then 2 weeks later, I regret having dumped Sean. So I want to continue with the two of you and see which connection I think is best for me, which makes sense. Just because Shaq has shut down Helena doesn't mean she should shut down, Sean. But I don't think Sean is a good connection for her, if I'm being truthful. But then Belle has to do what she feels is in her best interest. Curtis took Millie to the secret garden, and they started doing this dance class. Curtis, for me, I don't even know why he's there. I really don't know why he's there. I think he's just wasting his time, or maybe he's there putting himself out there again so that people know that Curtis is still out here, because he spoke about Hollyoaks, he spoke about his pantomime thingy, and it's like he's name dropping for sure. He is, and so he's a little old man in a young man's body, as far as I'm concerned. You had Kieran and Lucinda go for a chat. Lucinda asked him why he broke up with, what was her name, Nicole? And he said we were two different people. They were two different people. She was too territorial, and he wanted to just be laid back. And so I get why they broke up, because after they left the villa, they did move in with Nicole very quickly, and it seems things fizzled out very quickly as well. They had a conversation. They were chatting about what they want in a relationship. Kieran says he's had only relationships. He hasn't had situationships, so he doesn't want situationships. Does Lucinda want a long-term relationship? No. Lucinda just wants to be on TV, make money, go home, and enjoy herself. Recycle, rinse, repeat. That's the impression that I get. Sean and Belle then went to the terrace, and Shaq was in his feelings because he was saying if she goes to the terrace with him and kisses him, then we're over. And it's like, did you tell her that before she went to the terrace? Or is there something that's come to you after she's been to the terrace? Make that make sense? I didn't get it. And the girls were trying to say to him, you need to be open-minded because the two of you are not shut off. But Shaq was already sort of marking his territory. Sean on the terrace was busy saying to Belle, I'm so sorry about what's happened. I'm now open to exploring our connection. They did share a kiss, not one, but twice. And I think Belle is just doing it for the sake of it because she knows that Shaq's eggs are in her basket. So the idea that she would kiss somebody else, to me, says a lot. It says that she's not into Shaq as much as she's making out. It's either she's not as into him as she's making out, or she's trying to see how serious he is about her because he's already played AJ and he's already played Helena and she doesn't want to be played by him. It's one of those two things. You then had Whitney, because Whitney was there when Shaq was setting boundaries. So she ran to sort of catch up with Belle, and Belle told her that she kissed Sean. And Whitney had to say, well, the thing is, Shaq has already told me that if you kissed Sean, then it's over between the two of you. And it's like, oh my God. I think Shaq is trying to have his cake and eat it. And so it's a bit funny for him to say, I don't want her to do this. You need to tell her. You can't set boundaries without her knowing about the boundaries being set. Sean was in the garden. He was excited. He was telling the girls that he had kissed Belle. And it's like, that's all he wanted. He wanted to win over Shaq. That's it. He wanted to win over Shaq. And that's where they stand. It's nothing else as far as I'm concerned. Belle, because she had a heads up from Whitney, then went and spoke to Shaq and was saying to Shaq, this is what has happened. I didn't know that you set those boundaries. I hadn't set those boundaries with you. I understand you saying, you wanted respect the same way we respected Helena. And it's like, this is a bit complicated. I think it's a conversation that the three of them should have had, Sean, Shaq, and Belle, and they should have reached an understanding of where do we go from here. Is Shaq still wanted in this triangle, or does Shaq have to keep it stepping so that the two of them can explore that? Just had a conversation with Curtis. It was like watching paint dry. Just struggles finding a guy in the villa. So I don't get why she continues to go back in the villa, because the guys don't seem to like her, regardless of the fact that she thinks she's God's gift. So the fact that Curtis was having a chat with her and was semi-flirting, it wasn't really flirtatious. It was more just getting to know one another, in my opinion. So I don't even know why she wasted her time with that. Shaq then started complaining bitterly to Kieran that, he didn't understand why Sean didn't come and tell him about the case. Sean is no longer his mate. They're no longer friends. And it's like, I get it, but at the same time, your issue should be with the person that you're getting to know. Sean has nothing to do with what you and Belle are doing. If you think Sean owes you an apology or an explanation, then you're delulu. Yes, you're friends, but you're not friends enough for him not to explore something that he wants to explore. So I didn't get the argument. The islanders got dressed for the night, and then Sean and Shaq went for a conversation. And Shaq was saying to Sean, I've lost all trust in you because you should have come to me. You should have told me what was happening, not for me to find out from Belle. And it's like, yeah, I get it. But at the same time, it is what it is. You have to sort of put on your big boy panties and just deal with it, because you can't be upset with Sean that he's got better moves than you. You had Lucinda go into the secret garden with Jack. Jack is really trying his best, and none of the girls will see him that way. Sadly for him, Whitney is the only person who saw him that way, and he treated her badly at her lowest moment, and I hope she doesn't give him a second chance. They did have a chat with Lucinda. Lucinda was saying, yes, I do see the possibility of us being a couple because you're a great guy. She didn't see anything. The way she was sitting, you could tell she was trying to protect herself. She didn't want anything to do with him. So I don't even know why he's wasting his time. Belle and Shaq had a second conversation, and Belle was saying, I feel like I'm being punished because you won't even look in my direction because you're that hurt and that upset. I think, if nothing else, they need to sort of cool it down. So they need to take a step back, at least for a bit, and then come back and see whether it's something that they want to continue to explore. Do I think Belle and Sean should be a couple? No, I don't think so. I really don't. I think Belle deserves possibly Shaq. If not Shaq, then somebody else, but not Sean. It seems he accepted the apology, but then Shaq is still in his feelings. He's still hurt at the idea that she would leave him for Sean, I think, or she would prefer Sean over him, I think. Helena then started having a conversation with Curtis because they were catching up from their previous chat, it seems. I don't see anything there. I see a friendship, but I don't see a romantic connection. Curtis received a message during that conversation to say, can all islanders gather around the fire pit? Everybody gathered around the fire pit, and they were told it's time to recouple. Curtis was the first one to have a go. He chose to couple up with Millie. Surprise? No, that's not a surprise for me. That's who he was going to pick, because I think that's who he's been brought in to pick. Lucinda gave her a little speech. I knew it. She picked Kieran. Millie wasn't surprised. The other girls were surprised, but Millie wasn't surprised, I think, because she knows because of their history. So do I think this Kieran was the better option? I think so. Because between Tommy, Jack, and Kieran was the better option. She was never going to win Scott over. Scott was never going to be hers. And Shaq, I don't think she likes people that look like Shaq. She has never dated anyone that looks like Shaq anyway. And so everybody else, all the other guys left. There was no one there that was going to stick out outside of Kieran. So I think this is why she went for Kieran, because she couldn't have Scott, and Shaq is not her type. Connor, I don't think is her type, so that left the other motley crew, and she picked the best out of them all. I can't wait for the next episode. Thanks, guys, for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Click on the link in my video to watch my review from episode 9. Bye, everyone.